thing. The world is changing at breakneck speed, and people feel uncomfortable with it. Both sides have their fears. Both sides have their worries. Both sides are looking out there going, oh, my God, look at all the things that happen. And it wasn't all Tesla, by the way, because I said this. There was nobody, that was, for Burma. I was hoping there would be a Burma person.
It'll always be Myanmar to me.
It will always be that way to us. We had those nights, Ken. Don't you ever forget that. But there was none of that. But there was a lot of immigration was a big talk. LGBTQ plus IA, 2 plus ABCDEFG had some of their stuff out there as well. Immigration, though, was second. And Doge was the number one thing, though. They're angry at Doge. I had a lot of good conversation. Now, here's the thing. I got what I could. I've got probably so many interviews that I cannot play. Because as I'm talking to an individual and we're into something, somebody behind me is dropping the F-bomb every 2 seconds. They're all chanting in unison. The F-bomb this or the F-bomb that. And it's frustrating, man. It's like, now tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, or 7 our time, I'm going to go live, and we're gonna play a lot of these things. But it was frustrating. But I'll tell you what. Both sides had a voice, and that was great. Some people were there strictly for trolling, which, it kind of made me, some of the trolling was kind of sad, actually. One lady, though, man, she would not, I was telling Belle, by the way, Belle, do you guys remember Belle? So he has no head, and he went on vacation to look for his head. Showed up, still no head.
It's funny how that works.
How you doing, man? How was your vacation?
It was not long enough.
You look rested.
Normally, when I get done with vacation, I'm like, oh God, I'm so ready to go back to work. And this morning, I woke up, I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to go back to work.
You don't like us?
No, it's just you personally.
Hey, let me ask you a serious question. What's your FICO score? Because Jeff's is 720. That's how we're basing our people now.
The last time I checked it, it was 801.
Oh, mother of goodness, 801.
Way to go, Brother Bilal.
We got a new leader in the clubhouse. New leader indeed. Man, that's good. 8. I didn't know they went that high.
I think it goes to 850.
Yeah, it goes to like 850 or something. That's like that's like would you rather have a perfect SAT score or a perfect FICO?
I'd rather have a perfect SAT score because once you get into the high level, going from 801 to 810 is not going to do me any good.
No, it's not. I mean, you can already buy a car with no money down, no anything. So it was. So he's back, which is good. The teams, we're together again.
The band is back together.
We had some issues with our young friend because, A, he did a great job and we love him, but he made Ken and I feel old all the time saying the world didn't exist before 1994. That, we would talk about something like disco. He's like, I've never even heard of that. I think you're just making stuff up now, Chad.
He's never lived in a world where there were no footprints on the moon.
That's it, yeah. He's never been one of those people. So it was good though. It's good to have you back though. It was nice to have him, but good to have you back. And, cause we had like all this good stuff and, we couldn't talk music with him cause he didn't even believe half these people existed.
He's like, yeah, I love classic rock. Oasis is my favorite.
Yeah. Like it was that. It was like those kind of things that he would say. You're just like, you're old when the guy that you're talking to says, my band, the band I really like they haven't been around long enough to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall.
Right.
You're like, oh man, sad. So, but it was fun. I just want to say hi to everybody out there that came out there. I met several fans of TN who, by the way, I just want to say, are listeners who don't agree a lot with what we say, but we're kind. Adam, I think from the borough, really nice guy. He and I had a 10, 15-minute conversation. Just want to say he was a very nice guy. And he said, and he's not, this is the funny thing too, that I think that when you can talk to people, because people don't like talking anymore. So many of them were in agreement with what Doge was trying to do. Get rid of waste, get rid of fraud, abuse. So many of them were in agreement of that. But like everything, and we talk about it, everybody's fine with getting rid of all that stuff as long as it's not my stuff. And you know, the other thing that was interesting is how it's being done. They were not fans of, which I found, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And I said, explain a little bit more. And actually, Frank Luntz, who is one of the big pollsters, one of the few pollsters that seems to get it right more often than not, was actually talking about this over the weekend. About it's not whether or not we should get rid of certain things. It's not whether or not we should do this. It's not whether or not we should do that, because we all agree that it's popular. It's how it's being done that a lot of people are having issues with.
The president, the agenda, the policies, the approach that he's seeking is supported by the American people. They do believe there's waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption in government. And they do want the bureaucracy reduced. But they don't want it done haphazardly. They don't want it done with a chainsaw, which is that prop that Elon used. They want it done carefully, respectfully, decently. If it chooses to engage in the same kind of rhetoric that basically says that all government is bad, all government employees should be put on notice, the public is going to say no.
And again, it's about how it's being done. They want it to be done in a certain way. They want some empathy with it. They want some caring with it. And a lot of people this weekend said the exact same thing. Hey, you know what? It's not that we don't think that some of these things aren't a waste of time. It's not that we don't think that some of the stuff is waste, but it's how it's being done. And it also goes back to whatever it is that you want done. If you're somebody who's all for every social program in the world, we can feed everybody, et cetera, getting rid of the military is not to you, it's not a big priority. So firing people in the military, you don't really care about because you already see them as somebody who is not all that. They're evil, they're bad. And so, but for many of them, it was still the way it's being done.
If this is about more efficient, more effective, and more accountable government, the public says yes. How the president communicates is going to determine whether or not the public backs him or opposes him. If you push people, is it being done with empathy? Is it being done with compassion? Americans are angry, and they're more angry now than they've been at any time in 20 or 30 years. And they want significant change. So they like the fact that this administration is taking an aggressive approach to the challenges that they prioritize. But what they don't like is a sense of meanness or politicization.
And that's the problem in this situation. Everything is going to be politicized. Everything is going to be used in such a way as to attack one another. Because one thing I've noticed in going out to all these kind of things is people want to feel like they beat somebody on the internet or they got over on one. I got over on you. They want to feel that way. And it's very frustrating because we all kind of want the same thing when I'm talking to people. We want taxes to be, at a fair rate. We want our border secure. We want our military to be strong and have the things they need. We want to make sure that people have good education and opportunity. We all kind of want the same thing. It's how we differ is how we think we're going to get there. And as I explained to several people who were very much understanding the fact that, you know what? This is a reaction. Perfect example of what's going on with immigration. This is a reaction when it comes to immigration because the current administration came in and said, you blew up the opportunity to fix immigration and to keep it low. And instead you rang the dinner bell and you allowed 10, 11, 12, 14, God knows how many people to wander in here. And for us to not know who vast majority of these people were. And I'm having to fix this. And if some people say it's an overreaction, well, you got to fix it. And this is how you fix it. This is what you do. It may not seem kind. It may not seem nice. There isn't, we're not handing people lays as they leave and saying, God, I wish you could stay, but this mess that we're in, it's not that way. Is it an overreaction? Yeah. But it's just a reaction to what the last 4 years was, which was a wide open border that nobody seemed to want to fix, and that the Democrats gaslit everybody by saying the border is secure.
It's not just about what you do. It is about how you do it. It's not just about what you say. It's about what people hear and the impact on them. And make no mistake, with the budget having to be cut significantly and with tax cuts, the public is going to be looking for how they are impacted individually and whether or not the administration seems to hear, recognize, understand, and appreciate public opinion. The agenda is correct. The intensity for the American people is correct. How it's being done and how it's being talked about is not.
And that's what I think a lot of people have problems with. But as I was explaining to several people out there, we're going to play some of the audio. I got to double, triple check it to make sure that there's no cursed words in some of them, that they all recognize, the ones that I spoke to a guy, just a really nice guy. I'm going to play some of his audio here about how frustrated he is by a lot of the stuff he sees out there. Algorithms drive a lot of this stuff, how we all get into this. But he's very frustrated in the way that a lot of these things have been handled, but recognizes that we have to do some of these things. And as I was trying to explain to some people, you have to overcorrect to get back to correct. Because if you just peel away a little bit here, a little bit there, you're not doing anything. You have to really make a move into it. And we can't say, we can't give a high five to everybody. We can't give a hug to everybody. We can't wish everybody all the best. And these people are paid quite well. I had to remind people that you think that they use the word civil servant as if there's some sort of magical, being that is sacrificing their livelihood to essentially sleep in their car to make sure that you and I can get mail or whatever. No, they're people who get paid quite well, who have a good retirement and live a pretty damn good life, better than the average person when you look at salaries across the board. And because of that, we should expect certain things, but we cannot live the way we've been living. We cannot. It is unsustainable. And it's going to continue to be unsustainable. And all of them that I had, my thing is have conversations. Because you can't learn anything. I said over and over, and they all agreed, you and I couldn't live that way, the way that the government lives. Because you and I, Bell can't print money, and he's tried. Ken can't print money, and he's tried. None of us can. We don't have, outside of Bell's 801, we don't have an unlimited borrowing capability.
I've even looked for it on trees.
Yes, absolutely. We have. The only thing we found is Coke, which is good, but it'll get you in trouble. So don't do that. But this way of printing money, of borrowing against the future, doing those kind of things, we can't live our way. You couldn't live your household that way. I can't live my household that way. Nobody can. So at some point in time, something's got to give. And this is it. And this is the reaction to something that came long before Trump was here, that everybody talked about. And even when Trump leaves, they're still going to be fighting this battle. So this is not going away anytime soon.